I think when you're a person with a disability, you realize all the ways that life isn't totally fair, right? Even though the world may not be totally fair, maybe we can take small steps to make things a bit more equitable and better for everyone in the future. So I was born with congenital glaucoma, but I wasn't born blind or vision impaired. And today, what I see through my eyes is about less than 5% of what a normal person can see. And when that happened, I was extremely distraught. I thought my life was over, and I was completely crushed. I thought that, this is it. Eventually, I came to the realization that there's no way that I can control this condition. And what helped even more was being introduced to all the different types of technology that are available to people with vision impairments. That's when I started living life as a person with a vision impairment rather than feeling that my condition was a limitation. And I think one of the things that I learned the most is how to advocate for myself and how to navigate life on my own terms.
As part of the Independent Living and Caregiver Support Division, I raised awareness about assistive technology and accessibility with the aim of enhancing the independence of persons with disabilities to allow them to work, learn, and live independently. Actually, I've always been very inspired by this quote that I came across that says that for persons without disabilities, technology makes things easier. For persons with disabilities, technology makes things possible. As a focal agency for disability and inclusion in Singapore, SG Enable plays a role in realizing the recommendations of the Enabling Master Plan 2030, a national roadmap that guides Singapore towards a more inclusive society, with equitable opportunities for persons with disabilities to aspire and to fulfill their potential. As services get digitalized and go online, even with the most appropriate assistive technology, if the content is not e-accessible, persons with disabilities are still not able to access the content. To address this issue, we have embarked on an initiative to raise the awareness about e-accessibility and to encourage the adoption of it. Etch Empathy is a key partner with us on this journey.
At Etch Empathy, we're a non-profit organization that really tackles some of the issues regarding accessibility and inclusion for people with disabilities. So in about 2022, SG Enable is actually looking for a key partner for accessibility initiatives supported by the IMDA Digital for Life Fund. So we submitted our proposal and they wanted to work with us, and that's how we started our partnership together. In our partnership with SG Enable, we actually work together on two key areas. Number one is in the public education on what it's like to live with a disability and how we can build the infrastructure to cater to people with disabilities and make life more inclusive. One area where we especially work together closely is on digital accessibility initiatives. So our friends in the public sector and the private sector who are building the digital tools that everyone uses, how do we make those inclusively designed? That's one of the key areas that we work on together. The second is actually on consulting with these key stakeholders and partners on building that infrastructure. We work together to design the solutions and make sure that everything is up to spec and best practices. Walking through the process of how we actually test apps, websites, and different things to make sure that they're accessible and inclusive. We are using, the global standard, which in the case of websites and mobile apps is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. The first step when we work with a new partner is trying to figure out what aspect of their app or website that they want to improve on. Usually they actually have something specific in mind, and so they want to figure out how can we make this aspect of our online experience more inclusive to people with disabilities. The next step, we actually go and get other people to be able to test the system. That's what we call user acceptance testing, or UAT. So if I could tell designers and developers one thing is, involve a wider diversity of users in your UAT. Right? People with disabilities, people with vision impairments, people like myself, we are using your apps and services as well, even though you may not know it.
I'm Dennis Teo, and I'm a retired personnel. I previously worked as an IT professional. I have been visually impaired for the last 10 years. To be an accessibility tester, I need to be able to tell what is going on. Is the app suitable for people who are visually impaired to use. Different disabilities have different experience. And I think, to me, for people who are visually impaired, the problems becomes bigger. Proper labeling, descriptions and things like this are very important to people like us. As long as I can help, say for example, by testing the apps and making the apps better, more accessible, then more people can use it. In that sense, it gives them the independence that they need, and of course, to be able to navigate the digital world properly.
Talking about disabilities is not an easy issue because most people are not disabled. You would think that the average person and the average person in government is not going to care, but that absolutely has not been our experience. I think the bottom line is that the government cannot be everywhere all at once and understand every single issue that affects Singaporeans perfectly. But as a citizen, when we have an issue that affects our community that we care about, we are the ones who understand it the best. When I think about issues like that, and I've spoken to hundreds of people with vision impairments like myself, for example, there's a lot of ideas that actually get generated in that kind of discussion. But if nobody does anything about it, then those ideas are just ideas, right? They just die. But if we can find partners, find friends to work with together to tackle these issues and make society better, I think fundamentally that's a life worth living. And that has really been the driving force for my entire career. I really hope that people realize the power that they have in making a positive impact on their community, and I'm looking forward to see the change makers of the future.